Oh, okay, so I want to hear from your next product features, Trade. So you guys started as a stake, as a saving account, and the liquid is investing, and also the cash for borrowing asset and the spending account. But now you are going to integrate the HyperLiquid for your trade account. So how do you integrate those all product in a product, and how do you think about this future of ether.Fi in one product?
Yeah, I mean, it logically makes sense because we want to be able to give people access to more assets, including eventually RWAs, so that they can just hold that in their ether.Fi account. And so ether.Fi Trade was just kind of a natural extension for what customers want to be able to do. So what it'll allow them to do when it launches is to use their ether.Fi vault, the assets in their vault, as collateral to trade on HyperLiquid as a backend and get much lower trading fees than they would pay if they were trading directly on HyperLiquid. And we do that through a partnership that we have with a protocol on HyperLiquid called Hyperbeat and their LST BHype, which allows us to sort of pass on savings to.
I'm curious about your revenue streams because DeFi Llama, it shows $68 million in revenue in ether.Fi product, about around that. So you guys have a cash product, restaking product, liquid product, but there are many product lineup contribute revenue. So could you explain how the revenue streams split into those products?
So you're exactly right. So for ether.Fi staking, we take a cut of staking rewards. So that ends up being about 20 to 30 basis points on assets that we generate revenue on. And we have about 12 billion in staked assets. Our liquid vaults, there's a vault fee that tends to be about 100 to 150 basis points, so 1 to 1.5% on assets. I think we have about $1.5 billion, maybe close to $2 billion in assets in those vaults. So that's nicely profitable. And then finally, we have ether.Fi Cash, where we make about 1% on the interchange, so about 1% of transaction volume, plus a spread on the borrows. So when users borrow assets, dollars, we generate some revenue on that. And then when trade launches, obviously it'll be a share of trading fees. Today, stake I think is around 40% of our revenue, give or take. Liquid is around 20%, and then the rest is cash.
I'm also very curious that I actually tried several other crypto cards before, but they haven't provided the yield opportunity like ether.Fi, stake, or liquid. Also, they don't have cashback that much. How did you provide those cashback? I heard that 3% around that you guys are currently providing. So how does the yield and the cashback coming from? Could you explain how this mechanism works?
Sure, yeah. So most other crypto cards are terrible. They're really bad products. They have a ton of hidden fees and they just kind of abuse their users. So oftentimes you'll see crypto cards that have top-up fees. So any money you deposit into them, you pay 2% or 1%. Deposit, which is awful, right? It's like you just pay 2% just to be able to spend your own money. I mean, that's worse than a bank. Just use a bank if you're going to do that. Yeah. They might have things like gas fees on every transaction. There's a certain popular card that has that. So every time you buy a coffee, it charges you an extra, 10, 15 cents for gas, which again is really bad. They might have FX fees that are really high. So they might charge you 2 or 4% every time you use a foreign exchange. If they offer cash back, oftentimes it could be in some stupid points. So they say, okay, it's 4% cash back, but you actually don't get any cash back, you get some points. Anyway, there's no limit to how much abuse exists in this space, and honestly, I'm surprised there's not more frustration. So one of the things that differentiates ether.Fi is we don't do any of that bullshit. There's no top-up fees, no gas fees. The FX that we charge is just what Visa charges us. So we just pass directly onto the customer. I think that's around 1%. We can eventually make that lower, but anyway, we just pass that on directly. Just no bullshit fees. It just works. You spend your stables 1-to-1. The borrow rate on assets, if you're borrowing in the vault, is just the normal Aave borrow rate, which these days is around 4 or 5%. I mean, a lot better than a credit card typically. Yeah, so I mean, it's just great. Now, where does the cashback come from? The cashback comes from our partnership with Layer 2 that ether.Fi Cash is built on, which is Scroll. And so I guess the benefit that they get is they get a ton of TVL, I think over $280 million in TVL now on Scroll from Cash, and tons of transaction volume. So it's a mutually beneficial partnership.
That's the why how you guys can give the users the benefit of cashback.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I want to ask about the question, the Korean market for ether.Fi, because in Korea there are a lot of retail traders, a lot of trading volume, and many of the Korean communities are eager to explore the crypto space. So how do you think about the Korean market for ether.Fi expansion? And could you have any idea to support the Korean community, like Korean language support or other type of support in the community?
Yeah, so we actually, we have to be very careful. We're actually not allowed to market to users in Korea, and we're only allowed to operate in Korea on what's called a reverse solicitation basis, which means if people find out about the product from their friend or whatever, they're able to, go to the product and sign up. That being said, the products like staking and the liquid vaults, those are great. Yeah, those are fine. We have lots of users in Korea that use those products, and we obviously want to engage with the community to help them, learn more about those products and use them more.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, the Korean regulation is getting better and better. So in near future, ether.Fi can engage more the community.
Yeah, specifically, we try really hard to be compliant and follow the rules in every jurisdiction that we operate. When it comes to card programs, it's, every jurisdiction is different. We get legal opinions in every jurisdiction that we operate to ensure that we are compliant. So
actually, this question is one of our team members. You guys are working with the eigenlayer. He said eigenlayer haven't been turned on the slashing functions. So if they turn on the slashing functionalities, how does it impact to the ether.Fi, the liquid risk-taking product, and how do you guys handle when those events happening?
So I believe Eigenlayer actually has slashing built in now, but the slashing risk depends on the restaking networks that you opt into. So we are very carefully evaluating which restaking networks we want to be able to opt into and support. We do opt into EigenDA, which is one of them, but that particular network doesn't have slashing associated with it. Yeah, I guess it's on a case-by-case basis. Yeah. We want to make sure that we're very careful in terms of any networks that we enroll into, so that the risk-reward always balances.
There are many neobank in crypto, not crypto space, in the Web2, the normal fintech space, like Chime or Revolt. There are many neobank services. So compared to traditional neobank, what ether.Fi has more advantage or flexible benefits to run the product and company?
Yeah, so crypto bank alternatives, I think have a number of advantages over traditional banks and even neobanks. One, they're just a lot cheaper to operate. If we were a traditional financial institution with $12 billion in deposits, we probably would need 300 to 500 employees. Whereas ether.Fi can operate, effectively with only 30 employees. So it's an order of magnitude more efficient for us to operate, which means we don't have to charge users, crazy fees and, abuse them in all kinds of ways. Instead, we can just have a much cleaner, kind of simpler, more friendly product. And then in addition to that, because it's non-custodial, we're able to have a much more global reach because just the licensing requirements are not as onerous when it's non-custodial. We don't need a banking license, basically, which again I think is a huge advantage because the customer gets more control over their assets, and it's a much more transparent system.
I heard recently ETH deployed $100 million in ETH into the ether.Fi product. So how do you guys working with the institutional partners, and what does it make for the users in ether.Fi? Is it beneficial if the more institutional partners using the ether.Fi? So what do you think about the DAT companies and institutional adoption for ether.Fi?
So we're speaking to many of these ETH DATs. Advantage that DATs have versus, let's say, just the ETFs is that they're able to be much more flexible in terms of what they do with the assets. So with ETFs, which have tens of billions of dollars in assets, they're quite constrained. Even something like staking is kind of difficult for them to do because of liquidity issues. Whereas DATs can do things like deploy assets into ether.Fi, deploy them into DeFi, and as a result, offer higher, reward rates on their ETH. And so for that reason, I think a lot more ETH and assets are going to flow into into DATs. And of course, the benefit to ether.Fi is, we get more assets, they get more broadly distributed into DeFi, and that, that ultimately helps everybody.
I think you guys are working for both customers, like retail customers and institutional customers. So do you have any focus area nowadays, or how much resource you guys split into those customers?
In crypto, I mean, there's a lot of, it's not like a clear dividing line, that there's a lot more overlap. For example, I mean, some kind of so-called retail customers can be, whales that have tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. And then there's not really institutions in the sense of like traditional TradFi institutions, for now at least, that participate in DeFi. And so those institutions are more like hedge funds that have quite a bit of flexibility, almost more like retail. We tend to serve both. So for example, for the ether.Fi Cash product, there are, we do have a business product that allows corporations to sign up and then issue cards to their employees. And then of course on the staking side, we have, tons of institutions and retail adoption there.
Let's look ahead what's coming for ether.Fi because you already mentioned some of the really exciting initiatives like multi-asset staking, like Hype is coming, and the trade function, the trading for perps and spot trading, and also ether.Fi Cash Card growing really fast. So what's the one critical milestone or roadmap you think will define ether.Fi's long-term success? Which would it be and why?
I mean, this year our goal is to get to over 100,000 weekly active users. I mean, our current growth rate, I think we can certainly get there. And and by the end of next year, we want to get to north of $1 billion in revenue. I mean, that's a very ambitious target, but I really think we can get there. Once we get to over 1 million users, that should actually be very doable.
On the flip side, what keeps you up at night as a founder in this space? Do you have any worries or concerns about this space?
I mean, what I focus on every day is just making a product that people like. So if there's bugs in our product, if it's not scaling the way we want, if we're not able to reach as many customers as we want, I mean, that's what I care about every day. Because we have a product that people actually use in their day-to-day lives, we just generally don't care as much about the ups and downs and bull market, bear market type stuff. If people are using, let's say, our card product to buy groceries, I mean, they have to do that whether it's a bull market or a bear market out there. So the only thing that really matters that we can actually control is just creating a great product that people actually like.
Yeah, actually, today I also bought some champagne using the ether.Fi Cash Card.
Right.
And also this space is a members club for founders and investors. And I recently renewed the membership fee using ether.Fi Cash.
Awesome.
So that's the very basic use case, but it's very normal for users. So I believe in this kind of pattern could be more broadly adopted in near future using ether.Fi. So I'm very excited to see the adoption around the world in ether.Fi. And one small question is, you guys have a liquid product for Bitcoin, but it's not allowed to deposit in the liquid vault for Bitcoin. Do you have any
that might just be, I mean, we'll have that available soon. That might just be a limitation. We just haven't implemented it,
Yeah, because my friend and including me, myself, our Bitcoin want to deposit into the ether.Fi vault. So,
okay, great. I mean, that's coming soon. It's just, so.
You guys are shipping really fast, I think. Already you guys have a lot of plan. I heard one other features I'm excited also. You already mentioned RWA, including tokenized stock stuff. So you guys are planning to serve the tokenized stocks in RWA coming soon?
For sure, I mean, probably within the next few months.
Cool. Okay, so we are asking a bunch of questions, but before we close the podcast, do you have any advice or comments or any other things to talk about for our audience? Especially many of our audience is crypto enthusiasts or founders and investors. So could you give any advice for those young crypto founders or builders?
More general advice, I mean, I'll just reiterate what I said, focus on solving a real problem. There's a lot of flashy stuff out there where it seems like people, make tons of money and have lots of success without really having a product by just launching a token and writing a narrative. Although it's possible to do that, that's just a lot more random and chaotic and less predictable. You really, control your own destiny if you focus on actual utility.
That's the wrap up for our show today. Thanks for sharing your insight today. I'm very bullish on the ether.Fi's the roadmap and future, and I think our audience also get a lot of insights and some knowledge for this show. Thanks for joining today.
Great, yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.